Hey everyone, Matt Pisarcik with RazorEmporium.com, here today from our downtown Phoenix, Arizona workshop for a tech bench video. We get a very common question from a lot of customers out there. They've acquired a safety razor, like a Gillette double-edge razor like this. This is a flare tip super speed. And they notice that maybe one side has this little plate here, it's called an end cap, but the other side is kind of bare. It's missing this end cap, and they want to know if we can fix it. The answer is yes. So the earliest design of the twist open razor from Gillette didn't have these little caps. It was kind of a bare side, like the 1934 Aristocrat or 38 Senator or Sheraton. And I think that Gillette figured out that this design kind of needed a little structural support there. So I think they kind of made this little plate, but it was just soldered on, and they have a tendency of popping off. To get them today, I wish that Gillette was just sending us out parts in the mail whenever we needed them. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So we end up grabbing parts from other donor razors. We have a lot of other parts here, and a lot of times we can harvest one from another razor part and put it on. So this is a donor Fat Boy T-bar, and fortunately it's the exact same size as this customer's 1950s Gillette Super Speed. So we're going to first pull it off, more or less. To do so, I'm just going to put the T-bar kind of here in my little bench vise, and we're actually going to use a oxygen and propane torch. This is known as brazing. The torch ends up getting a lot hotter, and because of that, you end up with less damage to the plating itself. So we can kind of do a very quick heating it up without damaging that nickel finish. So I'm just kind of mixing together my oxygen and propane to get a nice blue hot flame like this. So we want to show you how we do this here in our shop. Just going to apply a little bit of heat to this end cap and loosen up the solder that's underneath. Should be able to just pop it off. There we go. So that end cap is off. I'll kill my torch, and I will pick that up to show you with a little pair of pliers so I don't burn myself, as I'm sure it's still very hot. So here's our little end cap plate. Obviously this is the finished side, and the unfinished side has solder on it, and we're hoping that there's enough solder left that we can just do a straight up kind of re-adhesion with the existing factory solder. If we do have to use solder, we just use a traditional silver solder and flux like you'd use for most other brazing applications. So to get this new cap, new to this customer's cap, onto our razor, we're going to first take apart the T-bar assembly so that we are working on as little pieces as possible, so we're kind of exposing it more or less. So I'm going to use a fork screwdriver here, and I'm going to take out the security screw that's on the bottom of most of these TTO razors. And keep in mind that these are threaded backwards, so that as you open and close them, it doesn't loosen that screw. So that means right is loose, left is tight. And the only other thing preventing me from opening this razor up is just to do a little crimp on these lower kind of prongs that are part of the spider assembly, as Gillette called it, the kind of the T-bar assembly. And that will now allow my TTO mechanism to fully open up, and I have this assembly out. I'm now just going to quickly remove the doors just by using kind of a little bit of friction, pushing down and kind of prying it out just ever so slightly. They pop right off. So now my doors are isolated so they don't get any damage from the torch, and now I'm just going to work on the T-bar alone. So kind of put it here in position. I'll get my end cap and also just kind of get that in position. Just use my vise ever so slightly to kind of hold everything in position. Pretty happy with that. Make sure it's mechanically on there pretty sound first. And now again, I'll light my propane. And then my oxygen. Okay, so now the goal is to just kind of very quickly reheat that solder so it adheres to the T-bar but not burn the plating. Little flathead here, kind of push down. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to quench it in some water, kind of cool it off before I examine it. Also make sure that the solder cools down so it doesn't just pop right back off. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So it looks like it went on just fine. So the end cap is back on, it's soldered well, and I'm now going to just reattach these doors. Again, just kind of using a little bit of some friction, just push down and kind of pry that on. Easy as that. You should always make sure that the doors are nice and loose, they can freely move. People sometimes think there's gears involved with all this. It's not, it's just a simple worm gear, I guess, or just a thread. And the doors end up hitting the guard and kind of camming open. So you got to make sure everything is freely able to move, no mechanical hang-ups. And I'm always a fan of putting a little drop of mineral oil into the thread of the T-bar, so when I put my security screw back in, it is kind of nice and lubricated and can easily come out again if needed. Sometimes we get these razors in and they are frozen practically. They've been exposed to water damage or corrosion, and it takes quite a lot of effort to get those screws out. So that screw is back in. My TTO mechanism works just fine, and our end cap is on there. This is a successful end cap repair service here at RazorEmporium. Hope you found this video helpful, kind of to show you how we do it here. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We count on you, the viewer, to let us know what you want to see and any comments and questions. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time, guys.